exits in the front and rear of the auditorium, so if there's an emergency, please go there. Smoking is prohibited, so don't even try. Please turn off your cell phones. No flash photography because it'll distract the actors and actresses. No food in the auditorium at all. And if you want to eat or buy any food, go to the lobby during intermission. So, without any further ado... Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Arsenic and Old Lace.
All week about your sermon last Sunday. It's really wonderful, Dr. Harper. In only 2 short years, you've taken on the spiritual program.
That's very gratifying, Miss Brewster.
Living next to the church all our lives, we've seen so many ministers come and go. The spiritual program, we always teach friendliness, and your sermons are not so much sermons as friendly talks.
Personally, I always did enjoy my talks in front of you. Or have I met him yet?
No, dear, not yet. Are the biscuits good?
Bully!
Won't you have another biscuit, Dr. Harper?
Oh, no. I'm afraid I'll have no appetite for dinner now. I always eat too many of your biscuits just to taste that lovely jam.
But you haven't tried the King's. We always put a little apple in with it to take the tartness out.
No, thank you.
We'll send you over a jar.
No. Do keep it here so I can be sure of having your biscuits with it.
I do hope they don't make us use that imitation flour again. I mean, with this war trouble, it may not be very charitable of me, but I've almost come to the conclusion that this Mr. Hitler isn't a Christian.
If only you're upon another planet.
Good, sir!
Yes, Teddy.
Point your gun the other way!
Gun?
Teddy!
To the west! There is your danger! There is your enemy! Shake hand!
Why, yes, of course.
Teddy!
No one's happy. Not so much talk about Europe and more about the canal.
Well, let's not talk about war, dear. Will you have another cup of tea?
No, thank you, Lieutenant.
Dr. Harper.
No, thank you. I must admit, Miss Abby, that war and violence seem far removed from these surroundings.
It is peaceful here, isn't it?
Yes, peaceful. The virtues of another day, all here in this house. The gentle virtues that out with the candlelight and good manners and low taxes.
It's one of the oldest houses in Brooklyn. It's just as it was when Grandfather Brewster built and furnished it, except for the electricity, and we used it as little as possible. It was Mortimer who persuaded us to put it in.
Yes, I can understand that. Your nephew, Mortimer, seems to live only by electric light.
The poor boy has to work so late. I understand he's taking Elaine with him to the theater again tonight. Teddy, your brother Mortimer, will be here a little later.
Delighted!
We're so happy it's Elaine Mortimer takes to the theater with him.
Well, it's a new experience for me to wait up till 3 o'clock in the morning for my daughter to be brought home.
Oh, Dr. Harper, I hope you don't disapprove of Mortimer.
Well...
We'd feel so guilty if you did. Sister Martha and I, for it was here in our home that your daughter met Mortimer.
Of course, Miss Abby, and so I'll say immediately that I believe Mortimer himself to be quite a worthy gentleman. However, I must admit, I watched the growing intimacy between him and my daughter with some trepidation. For one reason, Miss Abby.
You mean his stomach, Dr. Harper?
Stomach?
His dyspepsia. He's bothered with it so, the poor boy.
No, Miss Abby, I'll be frank. I'm speaking of your nephew's unfortunate connection with the theater.
The theater? Oh, no. Mortimer writes for a New York newspaper.
I know, Miss Abby, I know. But a dramatic critic is constantly exposed to the theater, and I don't doubt but some of them do develop an interest in it.
Well, not Mortimer. You need no fear of that. Why, Mortimer hates the theater.
Really?
Oh, yes. He writes awful things about the theater, but you can't really blame him, the poor boy. He was so happy writing about real estate, which he really knew something about, and then they just made him take this terrible night position.
My.
But as he says, the theater can't last much longer anyways, and in the meantime, it's a living. Yes, I think if we give the theater another year or two, perhaps... Oh, now, who do you suppose that is? No, thank you, Teddy, I'll go. Oh. Come in, Mr. Brophy.
Hello, Miss Brewster.
How are you, Mr. Klein?
Very well, Miss Brewster. What news have you brought me?
Colonel, we have nothing to report.
Splendid, gentlemen. Thank you. Howdy.
You know Dr. Harper.
Why, sure. Hello, Dr. Harper.
Hello, Dr. Harper. We've come for the toys for the Christmas fund.
Oh, yes.
That splendid work you men do fixing up discarded toys to give poor children a happier Christmas.
It just gives us something to do when we're sitting around the station. First you start playing your cards, then you start cleaning your gun, the first thing you know, you shot yourself in the foot.
Teddy, go upstairs and get that big box from your Aunt Martha's room. How is Miss Brophy today? Miss Brophy has been quite ill, Dr. Harper.
Pneumonia.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Shut
fine, ma'am. Your sister's getting some soup. She's doing a little weak still.
Oh, well, I'm going to do some beef broth to take to her.
Don't bother, Miss Abby. You've done so much for her already.
We made it this morning. Sister Martha's taking some to poor Mr. Benitsky right now. I won't be a minute. Sit down and be comfortable, all of you.
Yeah, she shouldn't go through all that trouble.
Listen, try to stop her or her sister from doing something nice, and for nothing. They don't even carry a vote.
When I received my call to Brooklyn and moved next door, my wife wasn't well. When she died, and for some months before, well, if I know what pure kindness and absolute generosity are, it's because I've known the Brewster sisters.
Colonel, you promised you wouldn't do that.
But I have to call a cabinet meeting to get the release of those supplies.
Oh, he used to do this in the middle of the night. Able to raise Cain with us. They're a little afraid of him anyway.
Oh, he's quite harmless.
Suppose he does think he's Teddy Roosevelt. There's a lot worse people he could think he was.
Nah, damn shame. Nice family like that raising a cuckoo.
Well, his father, the old girl's brother, was some sort of a genius, I think. And their father, Teddy's grandfather, I heard he was a little crazy too.
Oh, he was crazy like a fox. He made $1 million, though.
Really, here in Brooklyn?
Yeah, patent medicine. Kind of a quack of some sort. Old Sergeant Edwards remembers him. He used this place as sort of a clinic. Tried him out on some people.
I heard he used to make mistakes occasionally too.
But the department never bothered him much because it was pretty useful in autopsies. Poison cases, especially.
Well, whatever he did, he left his daughters fixed for life. Thank God for that.
Yeah, not that they ever spend any on themselves.
Yes, I'm well acquainted with their charities.
You don't know a tenth of it. When I was working with the Missing Persons Bureau, I was tracing down an old man that I never did find. Do you know there's a renting agency that's got this house down on its list for furnished rooms? They don't rent rooms. Well, you can bet anybody coming here looking for a room gets a good meal and probably a few dollars in that kick.
Yeah, it's just their way of digging up people to do some good to.
Oh, now, isn't this nice?
Oh, good afternoon, Miss Brewster.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brophy, Dr. Harper, Mr. Klein.
How are you, Miss Brewster? You've come for the Christmas toys.
Oh, yes. Teddy's Army and Navy. They were out. They're all packed.
The colonel's upstairs after them. The captain's got okay first.
Yes, of course. I do hope Mrs. Brophy's better.
She's doing fine, ma'am. Your sister's getting some soup for me to take to her.
Oh, yes, we made it this morning. I just took some to a poor old man who broke ever so many bones. Oh, you're back, Martha. How is Mr. Benitsky? Well, dear, it's pretty serious, I'm afraid. The doctor is there. He's going to amputate in the morning. Can we be present? No, I asked him, but he says it's against the rules of the hospital.
You couldn't be of any service, and you must spare yourself something.
Here's the broth, Mr. Brophy. Be sure it's good and hot.
Yes, ma'am.
Here we are, sir. This'll do fine. That O'Malley boy just nuts about soldiers.
Let's stir 'em up. My partner. What's this, the Oregon?
Teddy, dear, put it back.
But the Oregon goes to Australia.
Now, Teddy.
No, I've given my word to fighting Bob Evans.
But, Teddy.
Oh, what difference what kid gets it? Bobby Evans, Sissy Cohen. We'll be running along now, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Not at all. Goodbye.
I better be getting home now.
Before you go, Dr. Harper.
Charge! Charge the blockhouse!
Blockhouse?
The stairs are always San Juan Hill.
Have you ever tried to convince him that he wasn't Teddy Roosevelt?
Oh, no. He's so happy being Teddy Roosevelt. Once, a long time ago, remember, Martha? We thought if he'd be George Washington, it might be a change for him. He stayed under his bed for days and just wouldn't be anybody. And we'd so much rather him be Mr. Roosevelt than nobody.
Well, as long as he's happy. And what's more important when you're happy? You'll see that he signs these.
What are they? Dr. Harper's arranged for Teddy to go to Happydale Sanitarium after we pass on. Well, why should Teddy sign any papers now?
It's better to have it all settled now. If the Lord should take you away suddenly, perhaps you could convince Teddy to commit himself, and that would mean an unpleasant legal procedure. Mr. Witherspoon understands there would be filed away until the time comes to use them.
Mr. Witherspoon? Who's he?
He's the superintendent of Happydale.
Dr. Harper has arranged for him to drop in here tomorrow or the next day to meet Teddy.
I better be running along now, or Elaine will be over here looking for me.
Give our love to Elaine. And Dr. Harper, please don't think harshly of Mortimer because he's a dramatic critic. Somebody has to do those things. Did you just have tea? Isn't it rather late? Yes, and dinner's going to be late too. So why? Teddy, good news for you. You're going to Panama to dig another lock for the canal.
Delighted! Bully, just bully. I'll prepare at once for the journey.
Teddy, while I was out? the shortcut through the cemetery. Mortimer hasn't arrived yet?
No, dear.
He asked me to meet him here. Do you mind if I wait?
Not at all, dear. Why don't you sit down?
But we really must speak to Mortimer about doing this to you. Doing what?
Well, he was brought up to know better.
When a gentleman is taking a young lady out, he should call for her at her house. There's something about calling for a girl in a parsonage that discourages any man who doesn't embroider.
He's done this too often. We are going to speak with him.
Please don't. After young men whose idea of nightlife was to take me to a prayer meeting, it's wonderful to go to the theater almost every night of my life. It's comforting for us, too, because if Mortimer has to see some of those plays he has to see, at least he's sitting next to a minister's daughter.
Oh, Elaine, what you must think of us not having tea cleared away by this time.
Now don't bother with anything in the kitchen until Mortimer comes, and then I'll help you. Mortimer should be here any minute now. Yes, Father must have been surprised not to find me at home. I'd better run over and say goodnight to him.
It's a shame you missed him, dear.
If Mortimer comes, you tell him I'll be right back. Hello, Mort.
Hello, Elaine. Hello, Aunt Martha.
Hello, Mortimer. Abby, Mortimer is here.
Were you going somewhere?
I was just going over to tell Father not to wait up for me.
I didn't know that was still being done, even in Brooklyn.
Hello, Mortimer.
Hello, Aunt Abby.
How are you, dear?
All right. You look well. You haven't changed much since yesterday.
My goodness, it was yesterday, wasn't it? We're seeing a great deal of you lately. Well, come, sit down, sit down.
Abby, haven't we something to do in the kitchen?
Huh? You know the tea thing? Oh, yes, the tea things. Well, you two just make yourselves at home. Just
Make yourselves at home. Well, can't you take a hint?
No. A lack of inventiveness, I should say.
Yes, that's exactly what you'd say.
Where do you want to go for dinner tonight?
I don't care. I'm not very hungry.
Well, I just had breakfast. Suppose we wait until after the show?
But that'll make it pretty late, won't it?
Not with the little stinker we're seeing tonight. From what I've heard about it, we'll be at Kelly's by 10 o'clock.
You ought to be fair to these plays.
Darling, are these plays fair to me?
I've never seen you walk out on a musical.
Now that musical isn't opening tonight.
No?
You have to learn the rules, darling. With a musical, there are always 3 changes of title and 4 postponements. They liked it in New Haven, but it needs a lot of work.
I was hoping it was a musical.
You have such a light mind.
Not a bit. Musicals somehow have a humanizing effect on you. After a serious play, we join the proletariat in the subway, and I listen to a lecture on the drama. After a musical, you take me home in a taxi, and you make a few passes.
Now, wait a minute, darling. That's a very inaccurate piece of reporting.
I will admit that after the Berman play, you told me I have authentic beauty. And that's a hell of a thing to say to a girl. It wasn't until after our first musical that you told me I have nice legs. And I have, too.
For a minister's daughter, you sure know a lot about life. Where did you learn it?
In the choir loft.
I'll have to explain that to you sometime. The close connection between religion and eroticism.
Religion never gets as high as in the choir loft. Which reminds me, I'd better run over and tell Father not to wait up for me.
I've never been able to rationalize it.
What?
My falling in love with a girl from Brooklyn.
Falling in love? You're not stooping to the articulate, are you?
The only way I can regain my self-respect is to keep you in New York.
Did you say keep?
No, I've come to the conclusion that you're holding out for the legalities.
I can afford to be a good girl for quite a few years yet.
And I can't wait that long. When could we be married in a hurry? Say, tonight.
I'm afraid Father will insist on officiating.
Oh, God. I bet your father could make even the marriage service sound pedestrian.
Are you by any chance writing a review of it?
Forgive me, darling. It's an occupational disease. I may give that play tonight good notice.
No, darling, don't pretend you love me that much.
I'll telephone Winchell to publish the banns.
Nevertheless.
All right, everything formal and legal, but no later than next month.
Darling, we'll talk it over with Father and we'll set the date.
No, we'll have to see what else is in the works. There will be a lot of other first nights in October.
Hello, Mortimer!
How are you, Mr. President?
Bully, thank you, just bully. What news have you got?
Just this, Mr. President. The country is squarely behind you.
Yes, I know. Isn't it wonderful? Oh, goodbye.
Where are you off to, Mr. President?
Allah!
Hand him the cellar. Teddy just locks for the canal down there.
You're so sweet to him, and he's very fond of you.
Well, Teddy always was my favorite brother.
Favorite? Were there more of you?
There's another brother, Jonathan.
I've never heard of him. Your aunts never speak of him.
We don't like to talk about Jonathan. You see, Jonathan was the type of boy who liked to cut worms in two with his teeth.
What became of him?
I don't know. He wanted to become a surgeon like grandfather, but wouldn't go to medical school first, and his practice got him into trouble.
Aren't you two going to be late to the theater?
No, we're skipping dinner. We won't have to start for half an hour.
Well, I'll just leave you two alone together again. Don't bother, darling. I'm going to run over to speak to Father. Before I go out with you, he likes to pray over me a little. I'll be right back. I will cut through the cemetery.
If that prayer isn't too long, I'd have time to lead you beside distilled waters.
Mortimer, that's the first time I've heard you quote the Bible. We knew Elaine would be a good influence on you.
By the way, Aunt Abby, I'm going to marry her.
What? Oh, darling. Martha, Martha, I've got the most wonderful news. Elaine and Mortimer are going to be married. Married? Oh, Mortimer. We hoped it would happen like this. Elaine must be the happiest girl in the world.
Happy? Just look at her leaping over those gravestones. Say, what's that?
What's what, dear?
See that statue there? That's a Horodini de Carnina.
Oh, no, dear. That's Emma B. Stout ascending to heaven.
No, on Mrs. Stout's left ear. That bird. That's a red-crested swallow. I've only seen one of those in my life before.
I don't know how you can be thinking about a bird right now, what with Elaine and the engagement and everything.
It's a vanishing species. Thoreau was very fond of them. Speaking of which, I left a large envelope around here last week. It was one of the chapters of my book on Thoreau. Have you seen it?
No, but if you left it here, it must be here somewhere. When are you going to be married? What are your plans? There must be something more you can tell us about Elaine.
Elaine? Oh, yes. Elaine thought it was brilliant.
What was, dear?
My chapter on Thoreau.
Well, when Elaine comes back, I think we ought to have a little celebration. We must drink to your happiness. Martha, is there some Lady Baltimore cake left? Oh, yes. And I'll open a bottle of wine. What do you think happened in this room?
Now, where could I have put that?
Well, with your fiancé sitting beside you tonight, I do hope the play is something you can enjoy for once. It may be something romantic. What's the name of it?
Murder Will Out.
Oh, dear.
When the curtain comes up, the first thing you see will be a dead body. Don't want to have me come in here!
Yes, dear.
You were going to send Teddy to that sanitarium, Cappydale?
Oh, yes. Dr. Harper was here today and brought the papers for Teddy to sign. Here they are.
Well, he has to sign them right away.
That's a Dr. Harper thing, so there won't be any legal difficulties after we pass on.
Teddy has to sign them now. He's down in the cellar. Get him up here.
There's no such hurry as that, dear. No, when Teddy starts working on the canal, he can't get his mind on anything else.
Teddy has to sign them right away. Tonight.
Oh, no, dear. That's not until after we're gone.
Right away! I tell you, right away.
Why, Mortimer, how could you say such a thing? Why, as long as we live, we will never be separated from Teddy.
Darlings, I'm frightfully sorry, but I have some terrible news for you. Now we've all got to try and keep our heads. You know how we sort of humored Teddy because we thought he was harmless?
Why, he is harmless.
He was harmless. That's why he has to be confined. Why he has to go to Happydale.
Why, Mortimer? Why have you suddenly turned against Teddy, your own brother?
You've got to know sometime. It might as well be now. Teddy's killed a man.
Nonsense, dear.
There's a body in the window seat.
Yes, dear, we know.
You know?
Of course, dear, but it has nothing to do with Teddy. Now, Mortimer, just forget about it. Forget you ever saw the gentleman.
Forget.
We never dreamed you'd be.
But who is he?
His name's Hoskins. Adam Hoskins. That's really all we know about him, except he's a Methodist.
That's all you know about him? Well, what's he doing here? What happens to him?
He died.
On to Martha. Men don't just get into window seats and die.
No, silly, he died first.
What? How?
Now, Mortimer, don't be so inquisitive. The gentleman died because he drank some wine with poison in it.
And how did the poison get in the wine?
Well, dear, we put it in wine because it's less noticeable. When it's in tea, it has a distinct odor.
You put it in the wine?
Yes, and I put Mr. Hoskins in the window seat because Dr. Harper was coming.
So you knew what you'd done. You didn't want Dr. Harper to see the body.
Well, not at tea. Now that wouldn't have been very nice. Now, Mortimer, you know the whole thing. Just forget about it. I do think Martha and I have the right to our own little secrets. And don't you tell Elaine.
Oh, I was out. I dropped in on Mrs. Schultz. She's much better, but she would like us to take Junior to the movies again.
Well, we must do that tomorrow or the next day.
Yes, but this time we'll go where we want to. Junior's not going to drag me into another one of those scary pictures.
Hello, city desk. Hey, Al, do you know who this is? Yeah, that's right. Say, Al, before I left the office, I told you where I was going, right? Mm-hmm. And it would take me about a half an hour to get to Brooklyn. What time have you got? Oh, that's right. I must be here. Young Dad, young Martha, come in here. What are we going to do? What are we going to do?
What are we going to do about what, dear?
There's a body in there!
Yes, dear, Mr. Hoskins.
Well, good heavens, I can't turn you over to the police. Well, what am I going to do?
Well, for one thing, dear, stop being so excited. And for pity's sake, stop worrying. We told you to forget about the whole thing.
Forget. Aunt Abby, can't I make you realize that something has to be done?
Now, Mortimer, you behave yourself. You're too old to be flying off the handle like
But
this.
Mr. Hotchkiss...
Hoskins, dear.
Well, whatever his name is, you can't leave him in there.
We don't intend to, dear. No, Teddy's down in the cellar digging the lock.
You mean... you're going to bury Mr. Hotchkiss in the cellar?
Oh, yes, dear. That's what we do with the others.
No, you can't bury him... Others?
The other gentlemen.
When you say others, do you mean others? More than one others?
Oh, yes. Let me see. This is 11. Is it, Abby? No, dear. This makes 12.
Oh, I think you're wrong, Abby. This is only 11.
No, because it occurred to me when Mr. Hoskins first came in that he would make just an even dozen.
Well, you really shouldn't count the first one.
Well, I was counting the first one, and that makes 12.
Hello? Oh, my Al, it's good to hear your voice.
Well, anyways, they're all down in the cellar.
No, Al, I'm sober as a lark. I just called because I was feeling a little pirandello. Al, you wouldn't know, Al. Look, I'm glad you called. I need you to get a hold of George. He's got to cover the play tonight. I can't make it. No, Al, you're wrong. I'll explain it to you in the morning. Just get a hold of George. It's my department, and I'm running it. You find George. All right. Now, where were we? 12!
Yes, Abby thinks you have to count the first one, and that makes 12.
All right. Now, who is the first one?
Mr. Midgley, he was a Baptist.
Of course, I still think we can't claim full credit for him because he just died.
Martha needs without any help from us. You see, Mr. Midgley came here looking for a room.
It was right after you moved to New York.
And it didn't seem right for such a lovely room to be going to waste when there were so many people who needed it.
He was such a lonely old man.
All his kith and kin were dead, and it left him so forlorn and unhappy.
We felt so sorry for him.
And then when his heart attack came, he sat dead in that chair, looking so peaceful. Remember, Martha? We made up our minds then and there that to help other lonely old men to the same peace, we would.
He drops dead. Right in that chair? How awful for you.
Oh, no, dear. Why, it was rather like old times. Your grandfather always used to keep a cadaver or two around the house. You see, Teddy had the digging in Panama at the time, and he thought Mr. Midgley was a yellow fever victim.
That meant he had to be buried immediately.
So we all took him down to Panama and put him in the lock. Now, that's why we told you not to worry, dear, because we know exactly what done.
So that's how this all started. That man coming in here and dropping dead.
Of course, we couldn't depend on this happening again, so...
You remember those jars of poison that have been up on the shelves in Grandfather's old laboratory all these years?
And you know your Aunt Martha's knack for mixing things. You've eaten enough of her piccalilli.
Well, dear, for a gallon of elderberry wine, I take 1 teaspoon of arsenic, 1/2 teaspoon of strychnine, and just a pinch of cyanide.
Huh. Should have quite a kick.
Yes, as a matter of fact, one of our gentlemen found time to say, how delicious.
Well, I have to get things started in the kitchen.
I wish you could stay for dinner.
I'm trying out a new recipe.
No, I couldn't eat a thing.
How can I help you, dear? Well, I feel so much better now. Oh, you have to wait for Elaine, don't you? How happy you must be. Well, I'll leave you with your thoughts.
Oh, it's you.
Don't be cross, darling. Father could tell that I was excited, so I told him about us, and that made it hard for me to get away. But listen, darling, he's not going to wait up for me tonight.
Listen, Elaine, you run along home. I'll call you up tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, do you know I always call you up every day or two?
But we're going to the theater tonight.
No, we're not.
Well, why not?
Some things come up.
What? Mortimer, you've lost your job?
No, I haven't lost my job. I'm just not covering that play tonight.
But I have to know what's happened. Certainly you can tell me.
No, dear, I can't.
But if we're going to be married,
Mary?
have you forgotten that not 15 minutes ago you proposed to me?
I did? Oh, yes, I did. Well, as far as I know, that's still on. Now, you run along home.
Listen, you can't just propose to me 1 minute and then throw me out of the house the next.
I'm not throwing you out of the house. Now, will you get out of here?
No, I will not get out of here. Not until I've had some kind of
Elaine! Hello? Now, hold on, Al. All right, it's important, but if you wait a minute, can't it? All right, hold on. Look, Elaine, you're a sweet girl, and I love you, but I've got a lot on my mind right now. I want you to go home and wait until I call you up later.
Don't try to be masterful.
When we're married and I have problems of my own defense, I hope you're less devious and uninspired.
And when we're married, if we're married, I hope I find you adequate.
Elaine! Elaine! Hello? Hello? Al? Hello? Al?
That's the doorbell, dear, not the telephone. Oh, how do you do? Come in.
I'm standing up. Any room for lunch?
Yes, won't you step in?
Are you the lady of the house?
Yes, I'm Miss Brewster, and this is my sister, another Miss Brewster.
My name is Gibbs.
I'm sorry, we were just setting the table for dinner. Why don't you sit down, dear?
Hello? City desk? Al! City desk?
Right over here, dear.
Oh, sorry. Wrong number.
May I please see a room?
Why don't you sit down a minute and let's get acquainted?
Well, that won't do much good if I don't like the room.
Is Brooklyn your home?
I don't got a home. I live in a hotel. I don't like it.
Hello, city desk?
Are your family Brooklyn people?
I don't got a family.
Oh, all alone in the world?
Yep.
Well, Martha, well, you've come to just the right house. Do sit down.
Al, it's Mort. We got cut off. Listen, I can't come to the play tonight. That's all there is to it. I can't!
What church do you go to? There's an Episcopal church practically next door.
Well, I'm a Presbyterian. I used to be.
Well, what's George doing in Bermuda? Of course I told George he could go to Bermuda. It's my department, isn't it? Well, there's got to be someone around the place. You look around. I'll hold on.
Is there always this much noise here?
Oh, he doesn't live with us.
What about the office boy? You know, the bright one, the one we don't like? Look around, Al.
May I please see the room?
It's upstairs. Won't you try a glass of our wine before we start off?
No, I'll never touch it.
It's elderberry wine.
Oh, elderberry wine. I haven't tried that since I was a little lad. Thank you.
Well, what about one of the printers? They ought to be somewhere around the place. What about the one who sits my copy? He'd know what I write about. His name is Joe, third machine from the left. But Al, he could turn out to be another Burns Mantle.
Do you have your own elderberry bushes?
No, but the cemetery is full of them.
No, Al, I'm not drinking, but I'm going to start now.
Do you serve meals?
We might, but first tell us whether or not you like our wine.
Mortimer, no.
Mortimer, not that.
Put that down! What are you doing? Get up, old man! Get out of here! Come on! I'm trying to save your life! Get a move on! Go!
Now you've spoiled everything.
You can't do things like that. How can I explain this to you? Not only is it against the law, it's not a nice thing to do. People wouldn't understand.
We shouldn't have told Mortimer.
What I mean is, this has developed into a very bad habit.
Mortimer, we don't stop you from doing the things you like to do. I don't see why you should interfere with us.
Hello? All right, Al. Okay, I'll see the first act. I'm paying the hell out of there. But listen, you've got to do something for me. Yeah, get a hold of O'Brien, our lawyer, the head of our legal department. Have him meet me at the theater. Now, don't let me down, Al. All right, I'm starting now. Listen, I've got to go to the theater. I can't get out of it. But before I go, will you promise me something?
We'd have to know what it was first.
I love you both very much, and I know you love me, and I would do anything in the world for you. I want you to do just this one little thing for me.
Well, what do you want us to do, dear?
Don't do anything. I mean, don't do anything. Don't let anyone in this house, and leave Mr. Hoskins right where he is.
Why?
I want time to think, and I've got quite a little to think about. Anyway, I wouldn't want anything to happen to you.
Well, what on earth could happen to us?
You'll do this for me, won't you?
Well, we were planning on holding services before dinner.
Services?
Why, certainly. You don't think we'd bury Mr. Hoskins without a full Methodist service, do you? Why, he was a Methodist.
But can't that wait till I get back?
Oh, then you can join us.
Yes! Yes!
Oh, Mortimer, you'll really enjoy the services, especially the hymns. Oh, Martha, remember how beautifully Mortimer used to sing in the choir before his voice changed?
Remember, you won't let anyone in the house while I'm gone. That's a promise.
Well,
Martha, we can do that now that Mortimer's cooperating. Well, all right, Mortimer.
Have you got any paper? There's a man I've got to see. I'll get back just as quickly as I can.
Here's some stationery. Will this do?
That'll do fine. I can save time if I write my review on the way to the theater.
Mortimer didn't seem quite himself today.
Well, that's only natural. I think I know why.
Why?
He's just been engaged to be married. I suppose that makes any man nervous.
I'm so happy for Elaine. And their honeymoon ought to give Mortimer a real vacation. I don't think he got much rest this summer.
Well, at least he didn't go kiting off to China or Spain.
I could never understand why he wanted to go to those places.
Well, I think to Mortimer, the theater always seems pretty small potatoes. I think he needs something big to criticize, something like the human race.
Oh, Abby, if Mortimer's coming back for the funeral services, I'll need another hymnal. There's one in my room.
Martha, it's It's really my turn to read the services, but since you aren't here and Mr. Hoskins came in, I want you to do it.
That's really very nice of you, dear. Are you sure you want me to?
It's only fair.
I think I'll wear my black bombazine and mother's old brooch.
I'll go, dear.
We promised Mortimer we wouldn't let anyone in.
Who do you suppose it is?
Wait a minute, I'll look. It's two men, and I've never seen them before.
Are you sure?
There's a car at the curb. They must have come in that. Let me look. Do you recognize them?
They're strangers to me.
We'll just have to pretend we're not home.
Come in, Doctor. This is the home of my youth. As a boy, I couldn't wait to escape from this place. Now I'm glad to escape back into it.
Yeah, Johnny, it's a fine hideout.
The family must still live here. There's something so unmistakably Brewster about the Brewsters. I hope there's a fatted calf awaiting the return of the prodigal.
Yeah, I'm hungry. Look, Johnny, drinks!
As though we were expected. A good omen.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
Why, Aunt Abby, Aunt Martha, it's Jonathan.
You get out of here.
But I'm your nephew, Jonathan.
Oh, no, you're not. You're nothing like Jonathan, so don't pretend you are. You just get out of here.
I'm Jonathan, and this is Dr. Einstein.
And that is not Dr. Einstein.
Not Dr. Albert Einstein, Dr. Hermann Einstein.
Who are you? You're not our nephew, Jonathan.
I see you're still wearing the lovely garnet ring that Grandma Brewster bought in England. And you, Martha? Still the high collar from where grandfather's acid burned you?
His voice is like Jonathan. Have you been in an accident?
No. My face. Dr. Einstein is responsible for that. He's a plastic surgeon. He changes people's faces.
Abby, I've seen that face before. Remember when we took the little Schultz boy to the movies and I was so frightened? It was that face.
Easy, Johnny, easy. Don't worry, ladies. The last 5 years, I give Johnny 3 new faces. I give him another one right away. This last face, well, I saw that picture too. Just before I operate, and I was intoxicated.
You see what you've done to me, Doctor? Even my own family.
Johnny, you're home, in this lovely house. How often he tells me about Brooklyn, about this house, about his aunt they love so much. They know you, Johnny. You know it's Jonathan. Speak to him. Tell him so.
Well, Jonathan, it's been a long time. What have you been doing all these years?
Yes, Jonathan. Where have you been?
Oh, England, South Africa, Australia, the last 5 years, Chicago. Dr. Einstein and I were in business together there.
Oh, we were in Chicago for the World's Fair.
Yeah, it got awfully warm.
Yeah, it got hot for us too.
Well, it's wonderful to be in Brooklyn again. And you, Abby, Martha, you don't look a day older, just as I remembered you. Sweet, charming, hospitable. And dear Teddy, did he get into politics? My dear brother, Doctor, was determined to become president.
Oh, Teddy's fine, just fine. Mortimer's fine, too.
I know about Mortimer. I've seen a picture at the head of his column. He's evidently fulfilled on the promise of his early nasty nature.
We are very fond of Mortimer.
Oh, Jonathan, it's very nice to have seen you again.
Bless you, Aunt Martha. It's good to be home again.
Well, Martha, we mustn't let what's on the stove boil over.
Yes, if you'll excuse us, Jonathan, unless you're in a hurry to go somewhere.
Well, Johnny, where do we go from here? We've got to think fast. The police have got pictures of that face. I got to operate on you right away. We've got to find some place for that, and we've got to find a place for Mr. Spinalzo, too.
Don't waste any word on that rat.
But, Johnny, we've got that hot stiff on our hands.
Forget Mr. Spinalzo.
But you can't leave a dead body in the rumble seat. You shouldn't have killed him, Johnny. He's a nice fellow, he gives us lip, and what happens?
He said I looked like Boris Karloff. That's your work, Doctor! You did that to me!
Now, Choni, we find a place somewhere. Hey, fix you up quick.
Tonight!
But Choni, I got to eat first. I'm hungry. I'm weak.
Well, Jonathan, we're glad you remembered us and took the time to say hello. But you were never happy in this house, and well, we were never happy while you were in it, so we took the time to say goodbye.
Aunt Abby, I can't say that your feeling towards me comes as a surprise. I spent a great many hours regretting the heartaches I must have given you as a boy.
You were quite a trial on us, Jonathan.
But my greatest disappointment is for Dr. Einstein. I promised him that no matter how rushed we were in passing through Brooklyn, I'd take the time to bring him here for one of Aunt Martha's home-cooked dinners.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm afraid there wouldn't be enough.
Abby, it's a pretty good-sized pot roast.
Pot roast?
I think the least we can do is two.
Thank you, Aunt Martha. We'll stay for dinner.
Well, we better hurry along.
Yes.
Oh, Jonathan, if you want to freshen up, why don't you use the washroom in Grandfather's laboratory?
Is that still here?
Yes, just as he left it. Well, I better help Martha since we're in a hurry.
Well, we get the meal anyway.
Grandfather's old laboratory. And just as it was, Doctor, a perfect operating room.
Too bad we can't use it.
When you finish with me, why, we can make a fortune here. The laboratory, the large ward in the attic, 10 beds, Doctor. And Brooklyn is crying for your talents.
Why work yourself up, Johnny? Anyways, for Brooklyn, I think we're here too late.
You don't know this town, Doctor. Practically everybody in Brooklyn needs a new face.
But so many of the old faces are locked up.
A very small percentage. And the boys in Brooklyn are famous for paying generously to stay out of jail.
Take it easy, Johnny. You're on. They don't want us here.
We're here for dinner, aren't we?
Yeah, but after dinner...
Leave it to me, Doctor. I'll handle it. Why, this house will be our headquarters for years.
Oh, that would be beautiful. This nice white house. Those aunts of yours. What sweet ladies. I get the box, yeah?
Doctor, we must wait until we are invited.
But you just said that.
We'll be invited.
And if they say no?
Two helpless old women.
It's like come true a beautiful dream. Only, I hope you're not dreaming. It's so peaceful.
That's what makes this house so perfect for us. So peaceful.